Recorded live from the heart of the Bakken, it's the Williston Works podcast.
Welcome to the Williston Works podcast, brought to you by the City of Williston. Williston Works brings you in-depth discussions with the entrepreneurs, small business owners, and investors. They are getting it done in Williston, North Dakota. I'm your host, Sean Wenko, Executive Director of Williston Economic Development. Today's guest we have with us is Larry and Jared Medhurst. They are the owners of ACES Energy Services. It's located right here in the heart of the Bakken. Larry, Jared, it's great to have you guys on the show.
Thanks for having us.
And I tell you, this is, it's also great as we're sitting here. This is season 5 of the Williston Works podcast. And I go back 5 years ago, and it was something that was really brought up in my office about, we should start doing some podcasts really to push it out by the entrepreneurs and have the entrepreneurs tell their story. I'm guilty of just saying, well, I don't know, what do you think we'll get out of this? I tell you what, this has been tremendously successful. I think we've filmed probably more than 30 episodes going on over 5 seasons with entrepreneurs like yourself. But we're going to get right into it. ACES Energy Services. First, can you tell us a bit about your background? Where are you from? How'd you end up working in Williston, North Dakota? Larry, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. Yeah, you bet. Larry Medhurst. Came down from Canada about 11 years ago to start another corporation. Worked and developed it over 10-year period. Resigned again a couple years ago, and downturn hit, and Jared got laid off of work, and I said, well, Jared, maybe we should start a company. Jared's like, Dad, there's nothing going on. Perfect time to start a company. Let's get this thing done. Let's get rolling. And that's really how we developed at ACES Energy Services. And ACES really is an acronym for Advanced Clean Energy Systems. It's one of those things where we just want to find a better way, just a little bit better way of doing things. We work in an amazing industry that does everything the best way they can. We just want to bring a little more value on a little cleaner way of doing it, like taking the bags away from filter water filtration. So we have bagless mechanical water filters. Solar powered hybrid light towers. Turn lights on, let the sun charge during the day. They've got a 15 kilowatt generator. If you need power, you can turn the key and you have power too. So it's just one of those little extra things.
Yep. Yeah, definitely clean rental equipment, hotshot trucking. That's kind of what we do. Getting into some drying material manufacturing, and kind of seeing where it takes us from there.
Excellent. When you got the call, were you in Williston, or how did you end up in Williston?
Yep, so I had already been down here. I've been down here for 8 years. Same thing, came down from Canada, graduated high school, decided to come down south. Southern Alberta is where I graduated from. It was either go back north Alberta to go work up there or come down here. And I was like, it's a little warmer down here. Let's do this.
That's the first. I never heard anybody say we're coming down for warmer weather in Williston, North Dakota, but that's great. One thing about ACES Energy Services, we talk about when you started. And what was the year when you started this company?
2020. Middle of the pandemic.
Right? And that's what's significant, because I'll tell you, everyone's familiar with COVID. COVID-19 hit, around that 2019 into 2020, everything shut down. But was another significant thing was, and I always go back, and this memory will remain in my head as I'm sitting here, I'm talking to companies, just trying to get them through this whole downturn of things. And as I'm on the phone, I think I was doing an interview or something, and my cell phone's just blowing up. I don't have a chance to look at it. I get done, I look at it, and it's companies texting me, and oil just started trading in the negative. So it wasn't like $10 oil, it wasn't $0 oil, it was like they were paying people to take the oil off their hands. And you guys came in and saw value, and you start this company in 2020. I mean, if that's not an entrepreneurial spirit, I don't know what is.
Yep.
What piece of advice would you give to somebody that wants to get in, they want to start a business, they want to get into the energy industry or provide a service to the energy industry? What piece of advice would you give them?
Do your research.
Definitely do your research. Be prepared to let it last a while. It might take you 2-3 years before you get anywhere with it. Definitely took us a while. It was slow period, so took us a while to get really rolling and busy, but look at us now.
Well, and I think that's a credit to you guys as well. You look at, you're exactly right. I mean, I think we run into that a lot in economic development. It isn't come with an idea, open the doors, and you're making money hand over fist right away. You've got to work at it, and you have to grow a business. You've got to make connections. You have to provide a good service. That's where the success starts to really come to the top, and that's what you guys have shown. I mean, again, you've got the connections out there. You provide a great service. And, and I just don't see it changing anytime soon. It's onward and upward for you guys. We'll probably be back here at season 10, and you'll probably have built a very large building somewhere for all I know. So
we hope so. We'll be there. Yeah.
People are looking for workers from professional services all the way to entry-level positions. With you guys, obviously, there's going to be some requirements, some skill set with your workforce. I mean, I would assume having a CDL being one of them. But what has that been a challenge for you guys, trying to find the support staff to kind of help it out, or what's it been like out there for workforce?
Well, I think we've actually been a little bit luckier than most. We've got some guys sitting on the wings right now waiting for us to buy some more equipment. We can get a couple more trucks. We've got our first transport truck we're about ready to bring on the road. We've got a couple guys that want to jump in that and run that for us. And I think we're fairly lucky that way with our contacts we've got. It's been reasonably easy. Now we'll see when we put the truck on the road and see how it all comes together. But I know that the workforce is a challenge in our area. I think it's getting a little better. I think people are starting to come back and starting to see the potential and starting to realize that Williston really is where it's at.
Yeah, it's and you're right. From an economic development standpoint, again, I go back to we've grown so much over the past 10 to 12 years. We were once a town of 12,000 people. The population was stagnant, if not decreasing. And really, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, there was a real concern about the baby boomers were going to retire, who was coming back to do the professional services, who was going to be the doctor, who was going to be the dentist. And you look at where it's at today, we're north of 31,000 within the city of limits population. Obviously, you add, several thousand more just in the immediate area outside of the county. That's seen a huge increase in demand for goods and services. We are off the charts in small business development, and what I say, it's like mom and pop clothing stores, brew pubs like we're sitting in here today with Busted Knuckle Brewery, which is a brand new brew pub in this area. And so the demand continues. And what's unique is companies like yourself, again, that adds what I say is diversification. And here you're providing a service now to the industry, and that saves them money in the long run, helps them operate at a lower break-even point per barrel. We're not so susceptible to those wild swings that we're seeing up and down, what we've seen in the past. And then again, things that are coming in. We've got we just broke ground here in May. We broke ground on a $100 million clinic with Sanford Health coming into this market. Yeah,
that is exciting.
And they're looking at future expansions of potentially seeing a $250 million hospital come along. But their whole intent is a regional approach to this, and they're going to draw people in regionally. That's going to expand the restaurant retail sectors. So just across the board, it's just going to be pretty wild for us. But when you guys are out there in the industry, what do you see as the future of ACES Energy right now?
Well, so we know. Well, I guess it's really been the same way as we started out. We have the direction we're going. We're trying to piece together more equipment and kind of build a kind of a rental fleet. Well, we got the filtration, we got the solar hybrid light towers now. We're getting into a drying agent that's also better for the environment. So we're just building on the direction we're going.
Yeah,
with clean energy.
We'll keep adding equipment. We're constantly doing research. So
sure.
We're shopping for other partners that have better ways of doing things. Right. One of the things in the previous company I was in was, it just works.
Right.
Just do it this way because it just works. Don't try to do it any better. Well, I don't agree with that, and that's the way we've always done things. And we work on vehicles, and we work in the shop. We do stuff. What can we do better? How can we make this thing better? And that's really what we're doing with ACES. Is we want to partner up with other companies that have that same. Hey, is there some way we can do it better? Treater fires. Right. You get these treaters. Well, is there a different way to separate oil and water than treaters? We'll find it.
That is the true entrepreneurial spirit. And I will tell you, you don't see, I say this a lot, as I see more success stories when commodities are down than I do when we're rocking and rolling. And what I mean by that is everybody's getting creative. They're finding ways to capitalize on opportunities that are out there and are needed right now. And this is one of them. Again, when commodities went down, I go back to 2014, when things were going so crazy, 14 slowed down considerably for us. I had more people come through the door to say, you know what, I think I can do something with good examples like produced water, that the industry's got this produced water. I think I can do something that to maybe strip some of the value add off of that. And again, adding clean footprint, here's another opportunity, and the entrepreneur is on his way. And I see that a lot with what you guys are doing as well. So
yeah, exactly.
But go ahead.
So I've been in the oil patch since I was 22, back in, 28 years ago. And I was told when I went into the oil and gas, what are you doing? Oil's at $8 a barrel.
Right.
Like, it's done. It's over. It's never coming back in the mid-90s. Well, I've gone through 4, maybe 5 downturns, and survived each time, and always find opportunity in each of the downturns. There's a lot of people that will walk away and never come back, and that's their choice. That's all right.
Well, you're exactly right, and I've said this in previous podcasts, is that it always sticks with me. As there was when this thing kicked off, was hot and heavy in 2012. There was a major CEO here in town just talking about investments they're going to make with their company, and he pointed out to me, he took a piece of paper and he says, and he kind of holds this piece of paper and he says, guys, your career, it's going to look like this, and he just goes up and down like this. And he says it's going to be peaks and valleys and da-da-da. And then he took a line, he drew it from the bottom, he drew it up to the top. And he says, what you got to remember is at the end of the day, it's going to look like this. The end game is always we're going to increase ourselves to the end game. It's just the peaks and valleys that you got to learn to hang on, because it's a pretty wild ride. And that's exactly what we see here in Western North Dakota. Yep. So, but, one, final question for you guys, though. We're talking about the oil and gas industry. What do you see the future happening out here? Where do you see this thing going?
It'll always be here. This will be part of the industry. This will be main industry here. Now, what I really get excited about with Williston and with where things are going in North Dakota particularly is the biofuels, and I know it's like a swear word in oil patch, but it really, we have to get along, because bio and diesels and fuels go together, and we're going to burn them. That's all there is to it.
Right.
The beauty of it is we're right at the north side of the biggest corn patch, if you will, or biofuels manufacturing area in North America.
Right.
And it's no secret. Marathon just switched one of their biggest refineries down in Dickinson over to a biofuels plant. It's a couple years ago, or a year ago, or sort of. But it's so I get the biofuels magazine delivered to my house every week or every month. I read. I want to know. I don't know anything about this stuff. I just want to read it and say, okay, is there something we can? They need trucking over there. What are we gonna do?
Right. Right.
They need filtration. They need light towers.
Oil and ag. That's the industries. I always say oil, ag, and tourism. It's kind of your big kind of cornerstone industries out here. So
so we got the best of both worlds, really, right here in North Dakota.
I agree. Jared, how much? Go ahead, Larry.
I was just gonna say, and you and the Williston City of Williston Economic Development have done such a great job in bringing this city along. It's just, when we first moved down here, it was like Trailerville.
Right.
Thinking back, it was kind of, it was busy. People were living wherever they could live.
Right.
To where now we got the Arc, the city's developed so much stuff that's it's just such a beautiful place now.
That's one thing that's been fortunate. You look at City of Williston, is we've been fortunate to see a very progressive commission. That they're not afraid to invest in the community, and their vision of where they see the community going. It is second to none. And to take it, just like anything, if you want to take something and you want to be a leader in something, you got to invest in it. And just like those things, you got a state-of-the-art recreation center. You look at what we've done with infrastructure. We've got a new water resource recovery facility. We've got major upgrades to our water treatment plant, and billions of dollars in infrastructure to the roads. We've got a brand new airport, a $250 million airport, which is all it's all attractive to. When you're saying it's trailers, everyone, they were living in trailers, you start adding things like that. That's when corporate starts looking at this saying, we can make a little bit more investment, because, you look at, again, airport. I go back to Williston State College. They've got a college scholarship program to outreach to 53 counties. It's just the opportunities are endless here. So, but I want to hear from you too, Jared. Your thought, future of the oil and gas industry here in Williston?
It's always going to be around. And lots of the things we're focusing on too is hotshotting and trucking. That's an industry that's going to be around forever, and I think we're just going to get busier and busier up here. for that.
Okay, final question for you guys. You went into business. Obviously, you had the challenges when prices were down. But what is the one big challenge? If you were talking to entrepreneurs out there, sitting there going, I want to get into business in Williston. What's probably the one big challenge you thought you saw or faced?
Probably that first step, just getting it done. Just take that first step. That's the hardest part of it. And then the other foot's going to follow. And it just goes. And reach out, like for us, reach out to Keith Olson.
Yep.
That was one of the biggest steps for us because I've ran a major corporation. I've had other businesses. We're in a new area. How do we do this? And Keith Olson was just a world of information for both of us. He really did. Really did help us out. So.
And, again, referring to Keith Olson, he's the regional director for the Small Business Development Center. He is housed within the Office of Economic Development. And you're right, the resources that Keith has on a national level, somebody comes in with a business idea, he's able to plug this into a system and start pulling numbers and project what you may see for sales, what you would need for costs, connect you with lenders to help find financing, really puts together a full business package. And the great thing, it doesn't cost you anything. It's a free service.
Yep.
And once we get that done, then it's a lot of times we see these things will move on to the Williston Star Fund, where the Star Fund is a 1 cent city sales tax. Quarter of the penny goes into what we call Jobs Creation Fund, and really it's the community development fund now is what we're seeing, because we the amount of jobs that we have open. But then it makes its way to there. But really it's an all-inclusive one-stop shop. We love the entrepreneurs, and that's what it's all about, and what you guys are doing. Again, that's just getting it done, and that's part of the Williston Works podcast.
Yeah.
So,
right on.
Any final comments you guys would like to add today?
Yeah. Best country in the world. Best state in the country.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
State.
Well, I tell you what, the city of Williston and the industry is happy to have you guys here. We got Larry and Jared Medhurst. Again, they're with ACES Energy Services. They're providing a great product here, filling a need in the community. Love the entrepreneurial spirit, guys. There's nothing better. So the next time we're in a downslope, I'm calling you up and saying, what are we starting, guys? Because the opportunity's here. So, guys, thanks again for being on our show today.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, and also thanks for listening to today's episode of the Williston Works podcast. Again, this is brought to you by the City of Williston. Please like and subscribe for more interviews and content, and to learn more about Williston, North Dakota, you can visit cityofwilliston.com. I'm Sean Wenko, Executive Director of the Economic Development Office. We will see you next time on the Williston Works podcast.